Okay, if you're anything like me at all, during this phase you have already got glue all over your fingertips and you felt the sting of maybe some accelerator. Well, anyway, this is where we are. And hold it in the light. We've got the nose, the firewall glued in. You should be able to see there's our little backup plate for our firewall. We've got one there and one down in the bottom, somewhere there. Anyway, that is, at this point, our fuselage is all joined up. I need to put a little bit of glue to my formers here and do one here to the top former. And we're ready to start putting our sheets on the top now. There we go. Let that set up. And I'll be back in just a moment after I round those pieces up. Lots of pauses. Okay, you can see I've made a little bit more progress here. The back part of the fuselage, I have put on this piece and this piece. These are the top pieces. There are two of them. I put the back one, the longest one, on first. I took my time. I set everything in. You can use, again, you can use some Scotch tape to set it in place, or perhaps a rubber band, but something so that you can gently pull it together, line up all the tabs and all the slots, and then use your CA glue and wick them in. Don't use more glue than you need to, and I would recommend do not use your accelerator, because your accelerator, anywhere that you wick it in from the outside of the fuselage, it's going to bubble up. And if it bubbles up, it's real hard to sand, especially on wood this thin, which is a 1/16 inch thick. Anyway, put this piece on, and then come in and put this piece on. Note that you're probably going to have to do some beveling of this joint here. I beveled this piece only so that I could get a nice smooth joint here. Now, after that one was done, I went in and I did this piece. There's three pieces that compose the sheeting for the top of the front of the fuselage. This piece, and then I beveled this piece to fit under it, and then I beveled this piece to fit with this one. And that's what we get. And once you've got this part done, you are ready to move on to the next step, and I'll be back with that shortly. At this point, we're getting really close to the home stretch here, getting really close to finishing this airplane off and getting it ready to cover. If you'll pull up your wing, we did this on an earlier assembly, and you're going to notice that there is, well, first of all, let's look at the bottom. As I was digging through, I found this little piece right here, little piece of balsa. And I was thinking that when I saw the notches on these innermost ribs, I thought, something's got to go there. Sure enough, I found this little piece of die-cut balsa, and it fits right in there in those ribs, so I have tacked it in place. I have already gone ahead and put my front, I guess the dowel or whatever, in the front of the wing, our front wing hold down, we'll call it. I've already glued that in place, and the reason I have is because if I were doing a iron-on covering, I would want to leave that out until the very end. But because we're doing a tissue covering, it'll be just fine to leave that there. So I've gone ahead and glued that in. I thought maybe I would try to show you exactly what we're going to have here. You'll find this little guy right here. This is our magnetic latch. This is a very ingenious way of holding a wing on. It goes on this, pull up my sheet here, our rear eyelet plate. It goes through the slot on that plate and just sticks back. If you'll see here, there's a 1/4 inch circle in this piece. There's also a little square here. Well, that square is where we're going to take a piece of our 1/16 square laser cut material, the same peg material that we did the fuselage doublers with. Eventually we'll put a little piece in there just like so. We'll glue it in, snip it off, and that'll be a little stay to keep this piece from coming out. But for right now, I've just stuck it in there and we're going to let it stay. Now, the way this wing works, we're going to actually put one of our 1/4 inch magnets in this hole, we're going to epoxy it in place or CA it. I'm going to CA mine because I don't have any epoxy right now. But it would probably be recommended to use maybe some 5-minute epoxy. The way it works though, and I don't know how much this is going to show in the video, but we're actually going to line up the leading edge of our wing with our fuselage, and also these two little spikes here that come on the center section of the wing. We're going to line those up, and they're going to fit right in that rear eyelet plate. And mine are a little snug. What I'm going to need to do is sand them just a little bit to help that open up. And anyway, the piece that just fell out, this would come up with its magnet and capture that one, and basically it would hold that wing on. And you'll understand it once you see it. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to glue our magnets in place. Now, a funny thing, I was looking around, I thought, I don't see these magnets that are supposed to be in here. Fortunately, I don't throw anything away. I looked, and on the back of my little promotional placard, the name of the kit, you know, placard that goes with the kit, well, right on the back, there we have it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. But anyway, there's my two magnets right there. So I'm going to take these off. I will take, in both these cases, like on our hold down, our little mechanism, if I can get this open, I'm going to glue those in, but I'll take my tape, just take a little short section of it, and I'm going to put it on the back of that ply, use the back of my nail, I'm going to burnish that in, and now we can drop a magnet in there and epoxy it in place, and we don't have to worry about gluing that magnet right down to our work surface or anything, because that's going to, there we go. You know, basically it'll go in there like that. I'll epoxy it in. You may want to take your sandpaper and rough up all around the edges of that magnet. Okay, and I'll do the same thing with the other magnet to this wing. Now what we will do is, before I'll put my tape on there, and then I'll push that in place and then glue it. What we're going to do though is, right before we insert this into the fuselage, after the glue is set up and we insert it into the fuselage, we're going to make sure that when we put it in, one way or the other, we're going to make sure that it attracts to our magnet here. We don't want both magnets repelling one another. We want them to attract to one another so that it holds the wing on, keeps the wing in place. So I'm going to glue that up, and with that, that is pretty much going to end our our entire airframe build. You might take your sandpaper, and I would recommend a very lightweight sandpaper. I have some 220 here, and I would recommend go over your entire airframe, all your joints, everywhere where there was glue. You could round your edges to your fuselage, but I would say go over everything nice and make everything just real smooth so you don't have any catches where that CA glue has dried. You can even use, if you want to pretty it up real nice, you can use wood filler, which is basically a spackling compound. I wouldn't go to that much trouble on this airplane. Remember, every airplane we build is going to crash eventually. So, you know, it's just how much labor you want to put into it. I would sand everything as smooth and nice as you can get it. Just be careful. You are dealing with very lightweight balsa. So anyway, glue your magnets in, set your wing mechanism, your wing hold down mechanism in place, and sand everything nice and smooth. And I guess our next video we will discuss how we're going to cover this with tissue paper.